On today's episode of the Going Deeper podcast, we are talking about our Thailand mission trip. What's up, Fathom Church? Welcome to the Going Deeper podcast. This is your host, Kyle Knight. And again, these are episodes that we just love to talk more in depth about something to hopefully help you go deeper in your relationship with God. I'm in the podcast studio once again at Fathom Church with our missions minister, Karina Bost. Hello, Karina.
Hello.
And lead pastor, Chris Martin. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Kyle.
Hello.
Oh, you thought I was totally going Spanish on the missions podcast. We've already tried to do.
Can you say hello in Thai?
Not even close.
I
know
like
you can, but I'm. Yeah.
How do you say hello in Thai?
Sawadika.
There it is.
There it is.
You want to repeat that?
No. I tried while I was there, and it didn't turn out well.
It's hard. It's a hard language.
Yeah,
it is hard. Hey, so we've got our Thailand mission trip coming up in a few months here, so we wanted to talk a little bit about that, but also just short-term mission trips in general, why we do them, why we believe in them, some good things about them, but we also kind of wanted to look back on our last trip that some of us took to Thailand, which was like 2.5 years ago, I think.
Something like that.
It's a long time ago.
2
Chris
years.
has no clue.
I think it was 2023.
That was 2 years.
January 2023.
January 2023. So it's been a little while, and I know we've had we did like a whole church service at our old location about that, kind of debriefing that, sharing some things, and we've talked about it here and there, but we wanted to just to kind of give more of our thoughts and our observations of our trip, but really I guess getting everybody kind of informed about our upcoming trip and some of the people going on it, but some of the things that they'll be doing. And so and then really for the rest of our church, for everybody else who's listening, who's not going, what could our role be while they are on this trip? So Karina, I guess we can let's start first by just kind of giving some of our. I'm going to start with you, Karina. Before we hit record, we were talking a little bit about short-term mission trips. Mm-hmm. I want to just get your thoughts on short-term mission trips. The good and the bad,
Mm-hmm.
but the purpose of those and why we do those, especially here at Fathom.
Yeah, short-term mission trips, there's a lot of views on them. And there have been historically a lot of short-term trips that have gone poorly, which is why books like When Helping Hurts came along. And so many people ask, are short-term trips even valuable? Like, that's a lot of money to be spending on sending so many people over there when you could just be giving them money. And so the question really does need to be asked, like, why are we sending 15 people to Thailand? And there's several reasons for this. One is that while so Thailand is the field that we're supporting, and they have things that us visiting can benefit from. For example, when we were visiting, the elders of the church in Chiang Mai said having awareness on state sides of some of their projects is super helpful. It's very hard for them to promote and, even bring awareness to what they're doing when they are full-time in Thailand. Whereas we can go and see these projects and come back and, just speak about our experiences with them. And then another reason is there's this whole discipleship piece. I like to say missions is a discipleship journey, and God will use the trip in the person's life just as much as he will, and maybe even more so than he does on the field. We have huge obstacles going to Thailand with language barriers and stuff. And so it's not like we are going to be speaking the gospel to Thai people, but we can aid the field, and then we can also have like personal discipleship.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I'll just double down on all that, because like when we came back 2 years ago, we all had this vision of like, hey, this is a partnership we want to participate in. And we'd seen it. And so then when it came to taking a Christmas offering to send money to help build out the final piece of the school in the at the base of the village that we were visiting in the mountains. I can't remember. What's that?
Seed of Hope.
Seed of Hope. Thank you. I was just circling around it with my words, but yeah, for us to be able to send 10 or 20 grand finishes a project that would have been impossible to finish without that kind of funds. And it would have been so much more difficult for them to try and fundraise here without, I mean, we get to be ambassadors.
Mhm.
We get to be ambassadors for the projects, which is very good. Yeah. The second piece about like the discipleship piece, that's a huge deal. Like we do get to encourage and build up, but also be built up and encouraged in that. And we did a whole podcast on short-term mission trips where we talked about that it's like a life-changing experience. The one thing I would maybe even add to that is sometimes the Lord uses short-term missions like this to catalyze a call towards something bigger or more long-term. Even if it's like, if we send these 15 people to Thailand, I wouldn't be surprised if they come back and someone on that team maybe doesn't get called to Thailand, but gets called to something. Like, hey, I feel passionate about this. And so I'm going to go deep here. This is why it's exciting that we're sending back some people to Thailand who have already been before, just because I think missions begats missions at a certain level. And I just think as we want to continually foster a missional heart, the heart of God for the nations, man, why wouldn't we do this? I just think it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and I would agree with all that. And you're right. We've done a podcast on short-term mission trips, so you can go back and listen to that. So yes and amen to all those things. As you guys were talking, I'm thinking of all my experiences doing short-term mission trips, which I've been on quite a bit, especially in my younger teenage years growing up in the church. But Karina, one of the things you said, which is kind of one of the main reasons that we all went 2.5 years ago, was that awareness piece. And I don't know, and I'll just say this, I don't think I understood the full benefit of that. What did we call that trip? I mean, it's
a vision trip.
Vision trip. There you go. Vision casting trip, those sorts of things. But you bringing up the elders when we met with them and everything like that, it reminded me how important that piece is of just bringing the awareness back to Fathom. And I know it sounds like to some, and maybe it was to me too, that it was like, yeah, we can come back and just kind of talk about what we did, but like nobody else experienced it with us. And that's kind of the hard piece of like, yeah, we could tell you all about it, but until you go and do it, you'll have no clue. But it really is, I think, so important, especially in a place, Thailand, halfway around the world. Super important. I've been learning the importance of just coming back and talking about Thailand, talking about the culture there, talking about this, the foundation that's there, the church that's there, your dad who's there. And even if the majority of our church might not go there, just bringing light to these things is so important because, and we'll get to this, because there are still so many things that we can do here. Even if you never get a chance to go to Thailand. I think the awareness piece to me it's really grown in like, oh, that is so important, even just to come back and tell people what you experience. So I think that's really cool. So I'd love to kind of talk about maybe just our trip a little bit before we get into this upcoming trip and what we can do for them. But I'd love to talk a little bit about our experiences. If we can, I had a hard time remembering back 2.5 years because it's been a while. But I'd love to go into some of our thoughts and observations about Thailand, just to kind of give people a little bit of insight on this. Chris, I'm going to start with you. What surprised you the most? What are some things that you got out of it that you continue to look back at now? Some surprises, some things you learned.
Yeah, I'll say two things. First of all, on a personal level, it was my first exposure to Southeast Asia and to a truly Eastern worldview. So that was an eye-opening and awakening experience for me. Most of my experiences have been Western in nature. And there's a different worldview and even thought process that goes into how people see reality and experience this world in an Eastern worldview. And then to see how that poses potential challenges and opportunities for the gospel was just really fascinating. So that was really helpful for me. It helped me understand that piece of the world, but then also with globalization and people moving all over the world, we have people in our cities
Mm.
that share that worldview.
Mhm.
And even popularization of a lot of even media and film that's coming out of Asia, you're beginning to see these themes migrate west, as it were, proverbially. So
Mhm.
I just think there's some interesting things it was just a challenge to some presuppositions that I had about how faith and how even philosophy of life worked.
Mhm.
So that was a personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the church thing for me, as the pastor of Fathom, what I saw, this was the first time I had done a missions trip from a church to a church, as opposed from like a church to an organization, which I thought was a really interesting experience and also really sweet.
Mhm.
So because we got to go to Chiang Mai Christian Fellowship, which is a church in Thailand that your dad is the pastor of,
Mhm.
Karina, and we got to visit them on a Sunday and meet with their elders, but then see the projects that they support. Now, the Chiang Mai Christian Fellowship, they have a second piece, the Family Connections Foundation, that then has all of these projects. It's very robust. It's very built out. I know it's its own separate entity, but in some ways, my mind said, oh, this is like their local missions outreach for this local church.
Mhm.
So what it made me think of was twofold. One was, we're just getting to go to another friend's church halfway across the globe and get to partner with them and seeing what they're doing locally for missions. Just like if they were to come over here, we could take them to All Stars, or we could take them downtown and see, a food shelter, or where we give our food for our first Sunday food drive to Movement 5280. Like, we could bring them to those and just be like, this is what we do for local outreach. I thought that was really beautiful and sweet. But I also loved the fact that it was still based around a church.
Mhm.
And we believe that the church is God's plan A for how he is bringing his gospel to the ends of the earth.
Mhm.
And so to not divorce missions from the church
Mhm.
was a good thing for me to witness and to experience. So that's what I took away from that trip.
Mhm.
Can I throw mine out really quick?
Sure.
And then we'll let Karina, because you've had a lot more experiences with this. But I second a lot of that stuff too, Chris. Yeah, personally, again, this was my first time on that side of the world in Asia. And for some reason in my head, going, as much as we talked about how small of a percent Christian Thailand is, which is like less than 1%.
Yeah,
something like that.
0.6%.
0.6%. I don't think that registered to me until we were like actually there. Because the other mission trips I've been on when I was younger, it was to usually like Spanish speaking countries that we would actually go, and they, for the most part, knew who Jesus was, or there was a church right next to it, and we would go to that church and we put on a VBS, those sorts of things that we were just kind of the next group to come in and do those things. And so there was never really, like, you'd walk around in some of these places and you'd see another church there and you'd be like, oh, that's really cool. That's cool. But going to Thailand, it was so different because there were no churches. There were temples everywhere. And there was like not a hint of Jesus anywhere. Like there was everything else, like Buddhism, Hinduism, like all that stuff. And it was saturated in that. And for some reason, even that small percentage, I was like, oh, we'll probably still see, like, there's going to be a few things. And there was just not. And so hearing that percentage really is like, it's wild, but it's true. Where we were at, there was just,
it's very nearly unreached.
Crazy.
Even the cities, of course, the countryside and some of the small towns, but you're right. It was in almost an extreme way devoid of the gospel.
Yeah. Now, saying that, going to your dad's church and the amount of projects that this foundation has already and has like built up for quite a few years in the community there, it's like, oh wow, they're doing things. Like Jesus is present. It's just hard to find, but they So as much as I was like, wow, like there's nothing Christian about this. This is wild. This would be a very difficult place to come in here and crack and talk about the gospel. The church is doing a lot of things there. Which is really, really cool. And so Karina, like, I know you probably have like so many observations, but some that our church would really, really benefit from hearing about Thailand and the culture and everything there.
Yeah, I think for me, every time I go to Thailand, and I've been there a handful of times, is that kind of putting both of what you guys said together, that the gospel is kind of void. It's not there. You don't really see it. But then it is so hard. They're so gospel resistant because of their worldview. And so being able to break those barriers, and it's not just sharing the gospel, but it's helping them see the truth of the gospel in a way that breaks kind of the foundation, not of their worldview necessarily, but of the strongholds that are on their life. So in order to view Christianity away from Buddhism, essentially, and how tricky that is, because they have a history of just this will help me in this area. This will help me in this area. This will help me. So it's just like the throw it on level of, well, I can just add that on Christianity on to what I already believe. And so just kind of the unique challenges that brings to missionaries has always really struck me. I could probably say a lot of things, but I'm going to stop there.
No, that's good. Yeah. And to Chris's point, it also reminds me that there are people here that also probably have heard about Jesus being we're Littleton, Colorado, but that have these still like ingrained in them, whether it's from their culture or their family or what they've learned of, in talking about things like karma and how to earn your way into the next life and all this kind of stuff. And just like those things are so deeply seated in them that it's like, that's what they're about. And yeah, it permeates everything that they do. Which is wild. So Chris, did anything, what was the most fun piece of Thailand for you? I want to ask you that.
The
most fun thing that you did.
Traveling there was not
with
the
us.
most fun.
With us.
Yeah.
Everything with us.
I do love seeing places that like are it feels very foreign. I don't know, that feels maybe even weird to say, but it just doesn't feel like home. Which is fun. It's also in some ways kind of exhausting. But it's really interesting to see where people live, to see how people live. I think my favorite parts were probably getting out of the city into the more rural areas. It just felt like a city is a city in a lot of ways, even though it's a very different vibe of a city than you would have Denver. But when we got out of Chiang Mai into the countryside, you begin to say, oh, this is like, you see like more native peoples and these smaller people groups that who again come from a totally different worldview, but I think are maybe more open to the gospel. Like I don't think I'll ever forget when we went to Seed of Hope, and before we went up the mountain, which was really fun, and we went to the coffee village and all of that. But before that, we were down at the school and we did like a Bible study with the workers. Remember that? And Gary was teaching, and I think your dad was translating, and they had just ground us some fresh coffee and we were drinking coffee. And I just remember thinking, okay, none of us can really communicate with one another, and yet we're studying God's word together. Yeah. It was just a really sweet moment. Yeah. So that I think is one of my favorite things that we did while we were there.
Should I answer that question too? I guess I'll answer my own question.
I mean, if you want to.
I guess if I want to. Yeah, I think kind of the obvious one is being able to go to a few of the different projects that the foundation has. Connie's house was one of them that we always talk about. And that is foster care, right? I'm probably going to get this wrong. Foster care, but then also gives opportunities, I think like job opportunities and educational opportunities for those young people or just young ladies in juvenile hall. What I don't know what you want to call it, but yeah. Anyways, so we got to go to this place that just had a bunch of kids, and the love that was shown to these kids, and how we got to take them out. I think to like a park, or I forgot where we were going, but and then we got to do some yard work around there. It was so cool to see the care and the attention and the love that these kids are getting there, just by some people who have a heart for Jesus and have a passion for reaching young ones who don't have a family, and building them up and helping them like become just like really, really good young people. And so that one was really cool. A lot of the other projects were really awesome. I really enjoyed kind of the culture shock for me. I really enjoyed going to and getting to see some of the temples and those sorts of things. Growing up in the church and being like saturated with Christian and churches and all that kind of stuff, going to a place that is so different. And I'm like, that you've really only seen some of these things in movies or on TV or whatever, that you're like, wow, these people are really like devout and like, and in like ingrained in this culture, in this religion, and the monuments and these temples, everything they've built, everything that they do and this is like a day in, day out thing, in traveling to the temples and buying things to leave there and everything, that, and the process of doing all that, and their mindset in doing the reasons why they do those things, just really opened my eyes to like, this is the world we live in. And it's very different from here. But it's so good to see it and to learn it, so that, I mean, it makes the gospel that much more real, and to see how different people are and what they believe in, just kind of makes you, it makes you think more. It makes you really like think about what you're doing here and how you can help reach those people, or whatever they are, wherever they're at. So yeah, a lot of really fun things. Karina, what's the most fun thing you've done in Thailand?
Well, I think their food is amazing. I'm always down for some really good Thai food in Thailand. But I just love learning more about their culture and the people. I've been able to go on and off for the last 20 years, and it surprises me how much I still learn every time I go. And so it's just that, like, you go and you're exposed to just a tiny piece of their culture, and being able to learn more and more over the years has been very sweet.
That's awesome. Okay. So we've kind of touched on the church and the foundation and all those kind of project things there that we did. Let's briefly talk about the upcoming trip that you're taking a group there, I think in December through January. What are some of the things that you guys will be doing? Some of the things that you're excited for? Tell us about it.
Yeah. So I kind of mentioned this earlier, but when we do trips here at Fathom, they will be field led. We want to meet the needs of the field and not some internal desire we have to check projects off a list. And that's very important, because we can get really caught up in what we want to do and how we want to serve. But that is not actually helping the field. So we kind of default to the field and what they need. And a lot of what they need is prayer walking, praying through neighborhoods. There are very dark forces who have very strongholds in Thailand. And so being able to just go through a neighborhood, a red light district, whatever, and be able to prayer walk through them, there is a very, very powerful thing to do. It sounds, in America, that sounds like that's all you're going to do. That doesn't sound like anything, but prayer is a very mighty work that accomplishes a lot.
Can I throw that we should do that here too?
Yes. Yep.
Right? Like, like there are dark spiritual forces at work in Thailand, and there are dark spiritual forces at work in Littleton, in your neighborhoods, like where we live. And so maybe this is something that you'll bring back to actually us, is if you bring back 15 people who can lead prayer walks, where'd you learn how to do that? In Thailand? Like that would be a huge deal. That would be a huge deal. Cause I don't think that's like, we don't think that's missions work. We're like, oh, you got to build a house. You gotta, run some plumbing. It's like, no. you got to pray like crazy
Mhm.
that the Holy Spirit's going to do something in hard places.
Yep.
And that
Yep.
includes our neighborhoods
Yep.
in Littleton as
Yep.
well.
Yeah, I love that. Another thing we're going to do is we are going to go back to the coffee village, which I think will be a highlight for most of the team. As you guys both know, the ride up that mountain is one of the most craziest things ever. And it's definitely a memory. But then also just standing on that really steep hillside, picking ant covered coffee cherries is just one of those things. But the work that a group of 15 people can do for one farmer in a day, I don't think that they have teams of people helping them pick coffee cherries. So just being able to help the farmer be able to pick his coffee cherries. We will visit Seed of Hope and we'll see the library that we helped finish.
Is it totally finished now?
I believe it's totally finished.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
That's so cool.
that'll be super cool to be there and see that. And then because it's still far away out, my dad doesn't really know what projects are going to need what. So we're just kind of willing to go open-handed. And that's a huge part of missions is having your plans, but holding them loosely because our priority is to serve the field. And if something comes up and we need to switch last minute, that's what we'll do.
That's awesome. So in kind of talking about prayer, like we just were, what are some things that the rest of us here at Fathom can be doing while prayer is obviously one of them. So you can talk about that. But yeah, for those of us that are staying back that maybe wanted to go, but maybe it's not the right time or just don't have kind of that calling to go on a mission trip we know there are things that we can and should be doing while you all are in Thailand. So what are some of those things that Fathom Church can be doing?
Yeah, I think prayer is a huge one. Like you said, we will actually be hosting a prayer night to pray over the team before they go. And we would love for all the church to come and pray and lay hands on the team. We will also be creating a prayer guide for the church to pray through while the team is gone. And so that will have very specific things daily that you can partner with us and pray for us. Just to know that the church at home is praying over us every day will be super great. But then also anytime you feel led to pray for the team going to Thailand, just, over safety, unity, you're taking a team of 15 people to a different country and you'll have jet lag. So just, for all of that, everything that comes up, just to be able to work together and just, glorify God. So prayer, that's a big one. We would love for the church to support. If you have someone in your D group or small group that's going, we would love for you to financially contribute to their trip and really stand behind them. If you don't have someone in your group, maybe pray as a group about reaching out to someone who's going. On the missions table, we actually have plaques of all of the people that are going, so you can look through that. Or we have a fundraiser coming up, and just being able to participate in that fundraiser and just really the church coming around and supporting the team in that way would be really great. And last, this one seems kind of silly, but it's actually very powerful. And that's taking the position of a learner. And there's a lot of things we can learn about Thailand without ever going. So you can just Google, Christianity in Thailand, how to pray for Thailand. There's this John 3:16 Buddhism article. If you want it, you can reach out to me, or maybe we can attach it to the podcast. Yeah. It's a very fascinating way about how we share the gospel in America is really ineffective in Thailand because of their worldview. So I think just being able to learn, go to a Thai restaurant, eat some Thai food, talk. Most of the wait staff is from Thailand, so ask them about their home country and where they're from. But learning about Thailand really is a great way to really support this team as well.
There's a piece that I'll throw on there as well that's maybe a longer term piece. And that is, I'd like to just challenge our church to say, if you've not been on a short term mission trip, maybe you have, and that's great. Maybe you've been on a number of them and you want to go, and that's awesome. But if you've never done any sort of cross-cultural short term missions, I'd start praying as to whether this would be something you'd want to do in the future. I mean, I think our plan is to send more teams and do more trips, whether that's with Thailand or to another place or another location. But like we said at the beginning of this podcast, these can be catalytic moments for your faith, for your journey, for what God is uniquely wired and gifted you to do. And I might say it so boldly as to say, I think every Christian should do something like this. Like at least once in your life, you should break out of your comfort zone cross-culturally and recognize that the gospel isn't just for Americans.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was, we are the ends of the earth, and it got to us. And now we get to further that mission by taking it to other ends of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And so, man, I just think you should seriously be praying about, like, God, would you want me to go?
Mm-hmm.
Because Lord willing, we'll start signups for another trip here pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, let's, there was 15 this year. There will probably be another 15 next year. Those are slots that we want you to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Any last little things on Thailand? That was good. That was a good conversation. Hey, church, if you have any questions about this trip, again, like Karina said, about all the ways that you can be still involved in this trip, and we'll get all the details out about this fundraiser, all that kinds of visit Karina and the missions table on Sunday morning, email her, all that kind of stuff, talk to her about this. But yeah, pray about this, pray about this trip, pray about upcoming trips as well, and see if God is laying that on your heart to be involved in Thailand in some kind of way. So, hey, thank you guys for this conversation. Thank you, church, for listening. We'll catch you next time.